Hello! If you watched a couple of my videos recently, you'll notice I keep losing stuff. Not always my stuff. Rod lost his quad in the woods, and because the battery disconnected, it took ages to find it because we didn't have any way of locating it via the signal or the video signal or a beep or anything because it had gone. Similarly, just the other day I was testing out my Wing 2. That went down in a field of long grass. The battery stayed in, but because the battery was so small, it drained and I couldn't get a signal on the receiver for the VTX, and I couldn't use any telemetry to try and find it, so I was a bit stuffed that way. So on the missing quad video, someone recommended something called DroneKeeper, which I'd never heard of. So I checked it out, and I talked to the company there, and they very kindly sent me a couple of bits for review. The company is called Niche Tech, and they come in these very posh little bags. And this is the DroneKeeper Mini, and they sent me two of those, there's the other one. And also this auxiliary buzzer here. Rather than being over-engineered, because I've seen loads of these sort of Bluetooth tags that you're supposed to be able to locate your drone with, and Bluetooth range isn't very good, especially if something's upside down. It's like they've overcomplicated it and you just can't find it unless you're within a certain amount of room, and by the time you're close enough to actually make it beep, then you know you could have found it anyway. So the concept of these DroneKeeper Minis are so simple, you'll hear it and say, of course, it's obvious, why isn't everybody doing this? Because that's how obvious it is. This would actually work in a wired mode where you can connect up your lipo and it will beep for a low battery, or you can put it into a servo signal and make it beep. But in its basic mode, which it ships with, called wireless mode, it's easy. Turn it on, there's a beep, and if you see that little orange light there, don't worry about it being out of focus. Whenever I move, that orange light shows up. If I stay still, it goes out. This is basically a movement sensor. And the idea is that if you're still for 30 seconds, this thing starts beeping, and it beeps and beeps, and it's pretty loud. It's quite similar to sort of the low battery alarms you get for those little testers that you plug into balance leads. It's pretty loud, and you can certainly hear them from a distance away. What is great about this is it's got its own independent battery on there. So when this starts beeping, it can beep for about 2.5 hours on that single little battery in there. And without it beeping, it's about 6.5 hours of power just on sort of standby. So it comes with this little tiny USB charge bit that goes in there and charges them back up again. Or you can, every time you plug it into the battery, if you decide to go sort of low voltage alarm as well, that will charge it. But it seems a really good idea. So let me cut now to a close-up thing, and we'll just see how this thing works. Now, apparently, attaching the auxiliary buzzer, which I'm guessing is louder, will cut the battery life in about half, but I'm guessing is louder, so I want to test that as well. Let's get a close-up so you can see it instead of just like a blurry yellow thing. Okay, well, I'm wearing my lapel mic here, so I'm not sure how well this is going to pick up, but what I'm going to do is turn it on, and I've got this here as a timer just to see how long it takes. It should take 30 seconds, so as you can see, when I move it, we have that little orange light coming up saying it's going. So it's just gone out now. Oh, that's there again. That is loud, and once it goes, you have to turn it off to stop it. Oh, that is proper loud. So that was pretty loud. I don't know how it turned out on the camera. Loud enough to find something if within a reasonable range. But I'm going to try plugging the auxiliary now to see what that's like. One thing to mention about the auxiliary buzzer, if you look here, these are the normal servo pens. I think this is signal 5 volt and ground. Over here there's a little bit of silicon tube, and you just need to take this off, and that's where the, pull it out, that's where the buzzer goes in those last two pins there. Okay, we've plugged the auxiliary buzzer in, and you can see it comes with a little sticky pad here. I guess if you're burying something in, you can put that on the outside. But let's turn it on, and we'll do another 30-second timer just so I can speed up here. So that's moving at the moment. Let's go. Well, that's now about twice as loud. Okay, finally, testing time. I just got some new down props through for the MXP 230, the 6-inch ones. So I thought, time to test this and take it out with some decent props. See if it will behave nicely. So what I've done, if you can see, I've got the battery here and the little DroneKeeper just inside the strap. There's a little bit of Velcro here as well, just to keep it on, just in case, but it's in there pretty solidly. And it hasn't got a problem being squashed, just turns on okay. And you can hopefully see the little light flash away there as well. Another idea people talked about, and I think it's quite a good one, is if you strap it onto the camera, depending on what sort of camera you have, sometimes the camera ejects and that's your expensive piece if you're doing a GoPro. And generally speaking, the quad's not too far away from it. I suppose you could put DIL on if you wanted to, but depends which bit you want to find the most. Lots of times it's easy to find the quad and then you spend ages looking around the field for something. If you've got something like a Mobius, it's awful. I tend to keep my cameras tethered to the quad if I can. Certainly in my GoPro session I've got a little membrane surround that I can then tether onto, so if it's going to leave, it's generally going to either bounce back or it will slow it down, so there you go. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just fly this away, put it down in the long grass, kind of pretend I've lost it. Obviously, it's a little bit of a false situation. I'll know pretty much where it is. Although, if you've ever put something down in the long grass before and you haven't got a beeper, you will know how difficult it is to find. So we'll see if we can at least simulate this and see what sort of range we can hear the beeper. I'm just using it with the one beeper. I'm not using extension because I think that's the sort of the basic thing. Wireless mode, no external beeper, and just see how it goes. It has been stormy for the last few days. I think it's still quite breezy out, and that's going to obviously affect how well the beep will travel, but it's not raining, so let's go do this. See you at the field. Okay, here we are. Hopefully you can hear me because the GoPro is extremely good at picking out wind noise, and it is pretty windy. If you look at the trees there, they're having a good old rustle around as per this long grass over here. That looks quite pretty, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm intending to fly the quad out there, maybe near those trees, and put it down, obviously on purpose, kind of a false thing, and see what happens. So I'm all done here. I've got the battery there to plug in, the DroneKeeper to go, and yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, well, it's down in the field, as you probably saw, and from the looks of it, as we were just flying over, the grass actually looked not too bad, did it? But if you look here, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that, but on me it's coming up to sort of, you know, past my knees and stuff. It is pretty long, and it gets pretty thick, and, you know, it's so easy just to get something buried under there. The reason I've got my radio on right now is because what I don't want it to do is go into failsafe and start beeping with its own beeper. I want to test out the DroneKeeper and see how that is. So I'll keep this on, and hopefully we'll start hearing it beep when we get close. I know I'm all the way out past the trees there. Okay, so we're in a section behind that tree now. So we're in here somewhere. Can't hear any beeping yet, but we'll keep our ears peeled, or ears open. It's an interesting test, I think, because the wind obviously takes the little beep and blows it the other way. So whether we can get it easily is another question. I can hear it, I can hear a beep. Directionally it's kind of hard, it's like a beep 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 just kind of out there somewhere. What I try and do is measure my paces and figure it out. Depending how the wind's blowing is how well I can hear it. Oh yeah, it's got quite a loudness now. It's kind of echoing around the field a little bit. But definitely that direction now. Now this is interesting because having come through the trees here, I actually thought I was around about here, the centre bit. It just shows how you can remember things differently. Very strong beep noise now, coming from this direction. The wind kind of filters it a little bit, but when it stops blowing it's much more directional. Yeah, getting a very strong hit over here. Well, I don't know how well this is picking up the beeps, but it is loud. I paced that out stepwise. It was about 90 paces at about a metre a pace, 80 or 90 metres, which I think is pretty good. Let's turn this off, it's really loud. The wind. From my point of view, that seems pretty good. Getting within about 80 or 90 metres in the wind, it's travelling over this long grass okay. I mean, to be fair, we'd have probably picked that up, not too much of a problem. I mean, let's fly it over there and get it in some other grass. Okay, well I think this is quite an interesting prospect. Let's fly it without FPV. Let's just go out there where I can't see. This grass is very long, we're in a bit of a dip. And let's just stick it down somewhere, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? Apart from the fact I might not be able to take off. Yeah, taking off is the problem. Okay, all I can tell you is it went that away. Let's see if we can find it in the longer grass. It's an open area and the wind is much stronger. And it's really long grass. So you can see when you're looking sort of from this angle, nothing's there at all. Who knows? Oh, crikey, that is really loud. That's quite good. I can hear it straight away. I mean, I think this is a pretty good instance of just when looking, I know it's there, but trying to actually spot it in this grass without those beeps. There it is, invisible. This is the perfect burying material. I mean, look, my feet just disappear, and quads and little planes will, and even big planes, if you're not right on top of them where you can see downwards, they're so hard to find. Let's do one more, shall we? Why not? Somewhere. Let's go have another look. That was maybe about 100 metres, but of course for the first 30 seconds it's just going to sit there and not beep. Yep, got a good beep going that way. Well, obviously we saw where it went, but very strong beep now, even in this wind. Here it is. And here it is, all back safe and sound, and the little DroneKeeper Mini absolutely stayed in there rock solid. Didn't move. Now I've got to apologise if the wind noise was annoying, but I really wanted to show that it was windy out there, and obviously in those conditions it's harder for the beep to travel, and yet we still got it from a reasonable distance. Also, apologies again if that was a bit long. I was kind of just enjoying the testing. Normally I'd be very nervous about dumping a quad down in the middle of a field, even if it's a field I know and I've got my own beeper. I'd be still panicked about can I get it back. I was so confident about being able to get that. Now I could say a lot more about this, for example plugging the charger in and the little lights that come on, but that's pretty obvious. Times you'd use the external beeper, didn't need it, or how to use this little wand thing to set the different options for setting things for a servo or setting low battery voltage. But I think for most people they'll want it in the default wireless mode, which is it stops moving for 30 seconds and it beeps, which is brilliantly simple and just works so good. I mean, if anybody wants me to go through that I can do, certainly, but in its basic form it's fantastic. So let's talk about the price of these things. How much are they? Are they good value for money? $19 is what they cost, which I think is quite reasonable. I mean, to be fair, I was sent this as a review item so I didn't have to pay, but I would happily pay that much for it. Now these ship from Korea and it's $6.99 shipping. On top of the $19, that can sound quite a lot. But I think this is something, if you're in a forum and you've got a bunch of friends, get together, because you can buy 10 and the shipping for all 10 is still $6.99, and then obviously that brings the price down. I think when you order more it gets cheaper anyway. Now I'm not saying this is to replace all your other bits on the quad, this is an extra thing. So if you watched my video about finding your quad, for sort of the beginner stuff, absolutely have a beeper, use your telemetry, use a helical to try and track yourself via your video signal, and if the battery comes out, try and use your DVR footage. But this then gives you another level of protection about being able to find it if it goes down and the battery disconnects and you didn't get a good DVR footage. The good thing is as well, you only need one of them. you just pick it up, you put it on a different quad if you've got a whole... I'm talking like everybody has 6 or 7 quads, surely everybody does. But yeah, if you've got different models, you just move them around. If you've got planes you want it in, stick it in the plane or stick it on top of the plane, bit of Velcro. I really can't recommend this highly enough. I must say, I got this as a review sample. I'm not getting anything from them or anything. I just think it's a really good idea and really worth getting. If you've got a field anything like mine, where I spent hours over previous flies with friends and on my own searching up and down for stuff that you know is there, and even in a small field you know it must be there but you just can't find it, you really need one of these. DroneKeeper. I'll stick a link below to show the website and where to get it, but yeah, check it out. I think it's really great. It's going on my quads every time I fly now. See you next time.